Saints and the Rams, they are two of 5 teams in the NFC that are sitting at 7-7, right there at 500, going head-to-head with some serious playoff implications on the line. Rams currently hold that final NFC wildcard spot. The Saints sit in 9th place with the same exact record. Welcome into the show. I'm Jacqueline D'Agostino alongside Douzable for a Thursday night football preview. We have the Saints and the Rams, and that playoff race, really heating up in the NFC. It is very crowded with those 7-7 teams. It's kind of crazy.
It really is crazy. When you look at it, you got the teams like the Minnesota Vikings. You also have these two teams behind us, the LA Rams, the New Orleans Saints. So you got to love it, Jacqueline, as a fan, because even though it's week 16, you get NFL-type playoff football early before the playoffs actually start. So I'm excited for this Thursday night football. I know a lot of people have kind of scoffed at the matchups on Thursday night football the last few weeks because they've kind of been down. This should be a good one tonight.
So I want to talk about their playoff chances as of right now, according to Sportsline, and they're pretty close. For the Saints, a 46% chance to make the playoffs before this matchup. For the Rams, it's 41% chance. Who do you have more questions about leading into this Thursday night game?
Definitely the New Orleans Saints, right? The consistency on offense hasn't been there. And Jacqueline, I almost liken it to, is it fool's gold, what we've seen the last 2 weeks with the New Orleans Saints, right? There's no two better teams to play to get your offense right than the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants. That is what the New Orleans Saints are coming off of. Before that, inconsistencies with Derek Carr, right? They really didn't run the ball effectively with Alvin Kamara, but the last 2 weeks, they've really gotten Alvin Kamara going, not only in the run game, but in the pass game as well. 3 out of his last 4 games, he's gone over 100 all-purpose yards. And if you look at Derek Carr, what he did last week versus the Giants, right? Completing 82% of his passes, 3 touchdowns, and it looks like he could get his #1 receiver back in Chris Olave. So there's a lot of question marks. I know the Saints defense is going to show up week in and week out. Marshawn Lattimore is still out with the ankle injury, but they're still playing really good football. Had 7 sacks last week, but the question marks to me is this New Orleans Saints offense.
And it's kind of crazy to think that they're going for 3 straight with Derek Carr and all of the different injuries that he's been dealing with. It was like concussion, elbow, just a slew of things.
Duct tape them together and put them in there.
Literally. We just showed the schedule there for the remaining schedule, I should say, for all those 7-7 teams. And for the Saints, they're technically at the top of the NFC South, but the Bucs hold that tiebreaker, and they're going to face each other in Week 17. Is the best path for them to get to the playoffs to win their division, in your opinion?
I believe so. When you look at it, right, you talked about it, the Bucs already went to New Orleans and won. So even though this is a big game tonight, the Saints still have an opportunity next week versus the Bucs going into Tampa Bay to try to solidify the NFC South. So the Bucs play your Jacksonville Jaguars, right? We'll see if Trevor Lawrence can play in that game. Could the Bucs potentially be a game up if the Saints lose tonight in the game versus the LA Rams? So to me, the easiest path for the Saints when you look at that schedule is to win the division. I don't know if they don't win the division, they get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and you see the standings there, plus 215 for New Orleans to win the NFC South. It is tight there with the Bucs, and the Falcons were just on top before last week. It's been changing, you know, like literally every single week. Let's talk about the other side. Let's talk about the Rams. It seems like this team is clicking. You mentioned over the last 2 weeks they've won 4 out of the last 5 after starting the season 3-6. What changes have you seen, especially on offense, that just seems to be working for this Rams team?
Well, Jacqueline, first and foremost, I want to give flowers to Sean McVay. He should be in the running for head coach of the year. When you look at this offense, let's not forget Cooper Kupp, right? He was a guy that was their #1 receiver. He's missed a good portion of this year. He was a Triple Crown winner, so they haven't had him for a good portion. Then you look at Matt Stafford, right? There was a lot of question marks, Jacqueline, coming into the season. Would Matt Stafford retire, right? He was banged up last year. He's playing Pro Bowl football. And then coming into the season, Cam Akers was supposed to be their back of the future. He gets traded, and Kyren Williams steps in. He is the perfect back for this Sean McVay offense, because what Sean McVay does on offense, he does a really good job of pre-snap motion, making the defense guess what he's going to do. A lot of 3-by-1 sets, get some easy throws for Matthew Stafford. And then when you look on the defensive side, I would bet money that most fans, even media pundits, couldn't name 5 players on this Rams defense. But Raheem Morris and Sean McVay got these guys playing at a high level. And then you look at the draft picks, right? This is a team that is synonymous with saying, forget those draft picks. We don't need them. More specifically, first-round draft picks. But they've done a really good job developing guys in the 2nd through fourth round. Look at Steve Avila has been a cog on this offensive line. Byron Young leads this team in sacks with 6. Kobe Turner, who I was beating on the table for during the draft process, he's been a nice pass rushing 3 technique next to Aaron Donald. And we know what Puka Nacua has done, right? Should win Offensive Rookie of the Year, over 1,100 yards, has led this team in receiving yards. So you have to give a kudos to Sean McVay for the development of some of these young guys, because nobody gave them a chance to be in the playoff hunt. So again, Sean McVay should be in the running for head coach of the year.
All right, you heard it here, right here on CBS Sports HQ from Lee J. And again, a reminder, the Rams holding that final wild card spot in the NFC. I can't help but think about that video with Matt Stafford and his family and his daughter giving him that solid advice. Hey, don't get tackled,
Don't get tackled, Dad. Don't get hit, Daddy. Don't get hit.
Maybe he's taking his daughter's words there. Let's get into some X factors, Lee J. Who is the X factor for you when it comes to this matchup in prime time?
Well, Jacqueline, I kind of talked about him a little bit earlier. Kyren Williams is the perfect back for this Sean McVay offense. And Sean McVay's even come out and said he's the focal point of this offense. When you talk about a running back that gets the tough, gritty yards, right? A guy that has the explosion in the open field to make people miss. And a facet of his game that he's worked on is catching the ball out of the backfield right here. Look at the vision, Jacqueline. This is a simple zone play. There's nothing up in the middle. Watch how he cuts to the outside. And then I talked about it. The ability to make somebody miss an open field. That's a quarterback. And he's not the fastest guy, but you see the explosion. That's a 27-yard game. But the one thing I love about this team is they're unselfish. That's Cooper Kupp, all-pro receiver, blocking for his running back. Nice job by Kyren Williams. Great vision to get to the outside and get a 27-yard run. This next play, people will be like, this isn't a big play. It's 2nd and 2, Jacqueline. This is a duo play. 2 doubles on the defensive tackles. I talked about Kyren Williams getting those gritty yards. That's exactly what he does right here. That's 6 yards. He was contacted at the line of scrimmage, gets 6 additional yards there. And then a facet of his game that he's really worked on and honed in, that he struggled with in college, catching the ball out of the backfield. This is a check release. He checks to make sure nobody is scot-free. Then watch how he makes somebody miss in the open field, gets positive yards, gets the Rams into 3rd and 1, staying ahead of the chains. Then you see the excitement. That's what he brings to this offense. Again, check release, get to the outside. If you look at the Commanders, this is a vice tackle, right? This is 2-on-1. The outside guy should make him go back inside. He makes the first guy miss and then gets an additional 3 yards. So Kyren Williams is an X factor tonight. When you look at this Saints defense, right? It's a really good defense, Jacqueline, but they have struggled stopping the run as of late. They give up 126 yards on the ground, over 4.5 yards per carry. And then Kyren Williams, he's been a feature guy in this offense. 5 games in a row, over 85 rush yards. And if you look at 4 of the last 5 games, he's rushed for over 110 yards. He will be a focal point for the Rams if they want to win tonight. Yeah,
we just showed that graphic. With and without Kyren Williams, the record is staggering. He leads the team in scoring with 11 touchdowns, and he's all the way up here. Next is Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, tied with 4 each. So it's certainly a huge playmaker for this Rams team. Let's talk about your bets, or who you think is going to win. The Rams are 4.5-point favorites. The total is sitting at 46 and a hook. What do you like?
When you look at this game, I like trends, right? I like to lean towards the trend. And if you look at the Rams, right, 6 straight games at home versus the Saints, they've covered. If you look at the hot streak for the Rams, 4 straight games they've covered against the spread. And then you look at the Saints, right? 3-10-1 against the spread in prime time games. I already talked about Kyren Williams and running the football with Sean McVay in this offense. That's where the Saints struggle. You don't want to be in 3rd and long against these pass rushers that had 7 sacks last week. I think the Rams come in, run the ball, play admirable defense, and get a win. And not only get a win, they cover the 4.5. I'm going with the trend, Jacqueline. Give me the Rams to cover in this game.
Yeah, you see it there. The Saints in the past 4 Thursday night games. LLLL straight.
It's been a real struggle for them.
It has. Douzable joining us here on HQ. We're previewing Thursday night football between the Saints and the Rams with serious playoff implications on the line. Kick is set for 8:15 p.m. Eastern, and the NFL on CBS continues for Week 16. That Sunday slate includes the Browns and the Texans, the Jags and the Bucks at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can watch your local game live on CBS, or of course, stream all the action on Paramount+.